today like going to zoos and aquariums because they see it as just a good pastime. Many people will go and take their children to see animals for the first time, or maybe go out for a cute date, or maybe plan a good, nice family outing. But for animals, they don't see this as just a pastime. This is their life. They are kept in water tanks. They're too small for them. They're caged up and living there all day, being watched with no real freedom. Many of these animals are abused and they're not taken care of very well. So for this reason, I just feel like although people still go and they give their money to these places and they support them, even though they watch films or they see news articles or whatever, like for example the movie Blackfish, which is a film on the animals at SeaWorld that are abused. People watch these things yet still go and give their money for a couple hours of entertainment for themselves. So for this reason, I chose to talk about about some things that maybe people don't take into consideration and why they shouldn't support these facilities. Animals in zoos shouldn't exist because they are dangerous and safe, and they don't take in mind the benefits of the animals, because they strip them of their natural habitats and because there are better alternatives. So there's a lot of different pieces on news and articles and stuff that you guys have heard of, and I'm not going to go into depth and make you guys feel bad about those, but the one that's the most famous is the one at the Cincinnati Zoo, where a lowland gorilla was shot and killed by the name of Harambe. He was shot and killed after a kid fell into his exhibit. Now, Harambe's killing caused a lot of controversy. Some people saying that the zoo did what it had to do, and others saying that it was unfair and he deserved justice. Some people started signing petitions, and they started saying that the mother should be charged for child neglect. Now, I'm not saying screw the kid, it was his fault, but I'm just bringing this up because if there wasn't zoos, this wouldn't have ever happened. Harambe was known to be loving, kind, and silly by his trainer and also the man who named him. The man who named him said that his name was a Swahili name, which meant working together, helping each other, caring, and sharing. This is what Harambe used to stand for, and now it's all gone because his zoo couldn't protect them and keep them safe. LCAanimal.org says that many animals held in captivity begin to form abnormal symptoms referred to as psychosis. This is a neurotic, and they cause neurotic and typical behaviors. Neurotic and typical behaviors occur as a result of boredom, depression, frustration, a lack of mental and physical enrichment, and removal from their natural habitat and social structures. Some of these signs are bar biting, self-mutilation, rocking, swaying, rolling, vomiting, and excessive grooming. Not only are these zoos making animals have these abnormal symptoms, but their idea of practicing conservation, which is the preservation of different species, is also dangerous as well. Many of these zoos claim that they take in animals that are orphans, they're endangered, or they're injured, but in reality, large amounts of these animals in zoos are captured from the wild. So the animals they're trying to preserve and keep from being extinct are in breeding programs, and these breeding programs seem to keep them in there their whole life because they become accustomed to an artificial environment where shelter and protection from predators are provided for their needs. These zoos are compromising a captive animal's chances of successful introduction to the wild. So instead of helping them out, they're actually hurting them because they're accustoming them to things that they wouldn't see in the wild, so when they actually let them out, they're not going to survive, which will end up killing the species that they're trying to save. Which leads me to the next point. They should be in a natural habitat in the first place. Many animal behavior experts also oppose zoo confinement for giraffes, gazelles, and other animals designed by evolution to run freely across miles of savanna. They say fake habitats are unnatural. Now, the two animals that get the most attention for being better off in their natural habitat are elephants and orcas. According to Michael D. Lemonick on his article on Time magazine, in the wild, elephants roam as much as 30 miles a day, snacking on lush foliage, bathing in water holes, and interacting socially with other elephants in groups of up to 20. This is stuff they just can't simply do in zoos. Living in such confinement, elephants are prone to arthritis, foot problems, and even premature death. Head bobbing is also really typical of elephants in distress and probably results from an adequate physical environment. Zoos in cold weather also are dangerous to animals because although elephants are okay living in cold weather, being standing in snow and ice increases the risk of them slipping and falling. So weather also takes a factor in an animal's chance of survival because there's a lot of zoos that take in animals that aren't accustomed to the state's weather. But they don't care anyway, so they keep them there. The second animal that's hurt by being captive is the orca. Whales are supposed to be swimming around 100 miles a day, and they just can't do that in an aquarium. The Humane Society of the United States states orcas have a higher mortality rate than their free counterparts because they are subject to infection and stress. Former SeaWorld trainer Jeff Ventura says that orcas in captivity get diseased mouths after breaking their teeth on steel bars that serve to separate whales. And also another thing is that he said was that an orca that's not in captivity has never killed a human, although they're known to be killer whales. When they're not in captivity, there has never been a time where they have killed someone. Weather and climate have a lot to do with an animal surviving and being comfortable. Natural-looking habitats are just an illusion created to enhance the visitor's experience. No matter how much they try to make their zoos seem like their actual habitat, it will never get to that point because of natural conditions such as climate, habitat, and feeding. Being confined to small, restrictive environments deprive them of mental and physical stimulation. I understand that zoos, that maybe many people don't see zoos as dangerous or evil or unsafe. I understand that people go to enjoy themselves, learn about animals that they are in awe of, and teach their children about the beauty of the wild. But there are better ways to do this without supporting the herding of animals. OneGreenPlanet.org lists amazing alternatives to zoos. The first one is an animal farm sanctuary where they save farm animals who would have most likely ended up in a plague. These sanctuaries offer an engaging, interactive experience and allow you to get right up close to the animals. The second option is the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. Centers offer tours of their facilities and are home to animals that are not able to be released back to the wild. And the last option is to plan an eco-vacation. There are many companies spanning all continents that offer guided experiences that will take you into nature without disturbing it for an experience like no other. There are even some alternatives in California for yourself if you guys want to see the animals. There's one called the Marine Mammal Center in Sausalito. There's another one that's called the Farm Sanctuary in Orland, the Performing Animal Welfare Society Sanctuary in San Andreas, the Elephant Exhibit in Oakland, and the California Wildlife Center in Calabasas. If you actually care about the safety and benefits of the animals, you would choose these nonprofit sanctuaries and facilities instead. They offer many things that a zoo just can't provide. They provide 20 to 30 acres of natural habitat, a permanent home, and they even offer a choice of companions for the animals. IDAUSA.org states that zoos use significant funding for landscaping, sculptures, amusement rides, and other amenities to benefit the public rather than the animals. According to MarketWatch.com, while zoos still rely on gate admissions, they're increasingly incorporating tours, rides, and animal attractions to increase profits. The income isn't all spent on the benefits of animals. They are spent to attract more customers and bring in more money. At the end of the day, zoos are profitable for the economy, and I understand that. But if we can maybe close down a couple zoos and just have a few major zoos, just like we do for Disneyland, just have a couple big Disneylands, that could help in profiting more money to build bigger habitats and get more land for the benefit of the animals. I haven't once been to the zoo, and after doing all the research that I did, I don't ever plan to, because animals deserve to be safe in their natural habitat and just simply happy. And I hope you all agree too. Thank you.
Got 10 minutes till this class. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. You told me some stuff, Mr. Richard.
Sal, what did you think?
The intro was good. It, like the good attention grabber with the examples of like how to it connects the audience with it, like going for a day or family trip. Your thesis was pretty covered. You do a good job with the problem of it and how it affects the animals in that way. You do the benefits of what it will actually do to the animals to take care of it. To take care of the overall well-being of the creatures. There were a couple instances where you kind of step to your next conclusion, like physically. That was the only thing that I did notice about it. The no cards, a little bit, you can see the more transition with eye contact with no cards and like either at Richard or Cam kind of area, not necessarily at the audience, but besides that, it was a well-researched topic.
I think the research is a little superficial, but there is information on most of the points. I think you need to document a little bit more about some of the problems that the animals have. The notion that there are some limitations that zoos have, I think that that's true. The notion that there are harmful consequences, some way of quantifying it or illustrating it, the closest you've got is Harambe. And that's an okay illustration, but it's also an exceptional example. I think the data that you had about some of the other, the more generic information about how frequently the elephants are or how far they're supposed to walk, or how far Shamu or the killer whales are supposed to swim every day on a regular basis, that's useful information, but the best information that you had, I thought, was talking about lifespans and how that was being diminished. That was, and you did give a good source citation on that. But all the other stuff about the zoos, where you're talking about zoochosis, I've just gone, well, let's get some examples here. Tell us how these animals are suffering. I think there's a lot of anthropomorphizing with these animals, that you're attributing characteristics to them. I mean, that you say it's an injustice for an animal. I'm not exactly sure that justice is one of those things that applies in this particular context, and if it is, you need to give an explanation about why we should be worried about those sorts of things. I'm going to sound a little harsh here. You mentioned one other way that you can get close to the animals, and that's hunting. So I don't need to go to an eco sanctuary to get close to animals. I can go hunting. That's where you go out and you shoot the animals and you take them home and you cut them open. No, you didn't. As a way of getting close to the animals?
No, I said going to the animal farm sanctuary.
Right, that's what I said. I'm making a joke.
Oh,
holy criminy, if it's just getting close.
No, sorry,
If you're just getting close to the animals, if that's the whole point, that's the best way to get close to the animals, because you get really close to them and then you kill them. That's nice. My question is, why is that a bad thing? I mean, you kind of treat it as if, you're treating animals as if they're an oppressed ethnic group as opposed to a different species. What I'm saying is, you need to tell us why we should worry about that sort of thing. That's the thing that I think is missing from the speech. Your presentation, well, you're going to watch it. You'll see. I'm going to, I don't need to yell at you about it. You know what's wrong there. All right.
Thank you.